The air in Aberdeen, Sierra Leone was thick with the smell of salt and spices. It was a coastal town, alive with the rhythm of the sea, and nestled in the heart of it all was Mama Oya's kitchen. Her little stall was a beacon of warmth and flavor. Locals and visitors alike flocked to taste her cooking. Mama Oya was famous for her traditional dishes. Each one was a burst of flavor made with love and generations of tradition. Despite their successes, Mama Oya's children never forgot their roots. They returned home often, filling her small house with laughter and stories. Their visits were the highlight of her day. She would sit with them, listening intently as they shared their lives. Mama Oya treasured these moments, her heart overflowing with love and contentment. Life for Mama Oya was a tapestry woven with threads of love, hardship, and triumph. She had faced life's challenges head-on, emerging stronger and more resilient. Her children were her strength, her reason for being. Their happiness was her happiness. And in their success, she found her own. Mama Oya's home, though modest, was a sanctuary of love and warmth. The walls echoed with laughter and stories. The aroma of her cooking filled the air, a comforting reminder of her love. It was a place where her children could always return, no matter how far life took them. It was a haven built on a foundation of unwavering love and sacrifice. Mama Oya believed that family was everything. It was the anchor that kept you grounded, the source of your greatest joys and solace in times of need. She had instilled this belief in her children, nurturing their bond and teaching them the importance of family above all else. Their love for each other was a testament to her unwavering faith in the power of family. Time, like the tide, brought changes to Mama Oya's world. Her eldest, Kweku, found love in the city. Isata, his bride-to-be, was a vision of modern elegance. She carried herself with an air of sophistication that both impressed and intimidated Mama Oya. The news of their impending marriage rippled through the family like a gentle wave. There was excitement, of course, but also a flicker of uncertainty in Mama Oya's heart. The wedding was a grand affair held in the city where Kweku had built his life. Mama Oya, adorned in her finest clothes, beamed with pride as she watched her son take his vows. Isata, radiant in her wedding gown, was a picture of beauty. But beneath the surface, Mama Oya noticed a certain coolness, a distance in Isata's eyes that gave her pause. Life in the city was a far cry from their quiet coastal town. Isata, ambitious and driven, had little patience for the simplicity of Mama Oya's world. She found their traditions outdated, their way of life backward. Mama Oya, sensing this disapproval, tried her best to bridge the gap. She showered Isata with kindness, hoping to earn her daughter-in-law's affection. Kweku, caught between the two most important women in his life, found himself walking a tightrope. He loved his mother dearly, respected her values, but he was also captivated by Isata's modern outlook. He yearned for her approval, wanted her to be as much a part of his family as his mother was. Yet he couldn't shake off the feeling that their worlds were slowly drifting apart. The visits, once frequent and joyous, became less so. Kweku, busy with his work and new life in the city, found it harder to make the journey back home. Isata, always ready with an excuse, rarely accompanied him. Mama Oya, her heart heavy with unspoken worry, would receive news of her son through brief phone calls and even briefer visits. Whispers of Isata's discontent began to reach Mama Oya's ears. Subtle comments, relayed through concerned relatives, about Mama Oya's traditional ways, about her constant presence in Kweku's life. Isata, it seemed, felt threatened by the unbreakable bond between mother and son. She wanted Kweku all to herself, resented any influence Mama Oya had over him. Mama Oya refused to believe the gossip at first. She clung to the belief that Isata, despite her city ways, could never come between a mother and her son, but doubt, like a persistent weed, began to take root in her heart. She noticed a change in Kweku's demeanor during their phone calls. His voice, once filled with warmth and laughter, now held a hint of strain, his words measured and carefully chosen. One day Kweku arrived for a rare visit, but without Isata. Mama Oya, her heart leaping with hope, welcomed him with open arms. But Kweku seemed withdrawn, his usual cheer replaced by a somber silence. When questioned about Isata, he would only offer vague explanations, his eyes avoiding his mother's. Mama Oya knew then that something was amiss, that the whispers she had dismissed were more than just idle gossip. A shadow had fallen over Mama Oya's once bright spirit, the joy that had always emanated from her, a warmth that had drawn people in, seemed to have dimmed. She went through her days with a heavy heart, the worry for Kweku a constant ache in her chest. The aroma of her cooking, once a source of comfort, now carried a hint of sadness, a reflection of her troubled mind. Adama and Sori, sensing their mother's distress, tried to offer comfort. They reminded her of Kweku's love, of the strong bond they shared as a family. But their words, though well-intentioned, did little to ease Mama Oya's growing anxiety. She couldn't shake off the feeling that her beloved son was slipping away from her, his heart held captive by a woman who didn't understand the depth of their connection. Night after night, Mama Oya lay awake, her mind racing with unanswered questions. She prayed for Kweku's happiness, for his well-being, but couldn't help but feel a sense of foreboding. She longed to reach out to him, to offer him her unconditional love and support, but hesitated, afraid of pushing him further away. She was caught in a web of worry, her heart torn between her love for her son and the fear of losing him. The market, once a place of bustling energy and friendly banter, now felt like a stage on which Mama Oya played a part. She would force a smile, engage in conversations, but her heart wasn't in it. Her customers, the ones who knew her well, could sense the change in her. They would offer words of comfort, gestures of kindness, but nothing could penetrate the wall of worry that had built itself around Mama Oya's heart. And days bled into weeks, weeks into months. The silence from Kweku became deafening. His calls, once a lifeline for Mama Oya, dwindled to a trickle, then stopped altogether. The vibrant tapestry of their relationship, woven with years of shared laughter, secrets whispered, and unconditional love, felt frayed, as if a careless hand had torn at its edges. Mama Oya fought against the rising tide of despair. She told herself Kweku was busy, caught up in the whirlwind of his new life. She clung to the memories of his visits, his laughter echoing in her ears, a bittersweet comfort in his absence. But deep down, a cold knot of fear tightened in her stomach. The whispers had turned into a deafening roar, confirming what her heart already knew. Isata was pulling Kweku away, brick by brick, erecting a wall of silence between him and his family. Adama and Sori, their own lives bustling with work and family, tried to fill the void. They visited more often, their laughter a temporary balm on Mama Oya's wounded heart. They spoke of Kweku, sharing news they had gleaned from brief encounters, painting a picture of a man caught in the throes of ambition, his focus narrowed to the goals he and Isata had set. Mama Oya listened, her face a mask of composure, but her eyes betrayed the depth of her sorrow. One evening, as the sun dipped below the horizon, painting the sky in hues of orange and purple, Mama Oya sat by her window, her gaze fixed on the road leading to her home. It was a road Kweku had traveled countless times, his arrival always a cause for celebration. But now it stretched before her, empty and desolate, a stark reminder of her son's absence. A single tear traced a path down her cheek, a silent testament to the heartbreak consuming her. The vibrant energy that had always been Mama Oya's trademark began to fade. Her stall at the market, once a hive of activity, felt strangely muted. Her aromas of her renowned dishes, though as enticing as ever, couldn't mask the sadness that clung to her like a shroud. Her customers, their lives intertwined with hers through years of shared stories and daily exchanges, noticed the change. They greeted her with worried frowns, their inquiries met with a wan smile and a shake of her head. Mama Oya's heart ached with a constant, dull pain. The joy she had always found in her children's successes, in their laughter and love, felt distant, a faded memory. Kweku's absence was a heavy weight, pressing down on her spirit, stealing her breath. She found solace in the company of her other children, their love a beacon in the encroaching darkness. Yet a part of her remained tethered to Kweku, her heart yearning for his return, for the sound of his voice, for the reassurance that the bond they shared, the bond she had nurtured with every fiber of her being, was not truly broken. Adama, her brow furrowed with concern, urged Mama Oya to visit Kweku in the city. She argued that seeing him, speaking to him face to face, might be the key to mending the fractured relationship. Surye, ever the pragmatist, suggested they invite Kweku and Isata for a family gathering, a neutral ground where they could bridge the growing chasm. Mama Oya listened to their pleas, her heart torn. A part of her yearned to see Kweku, to look into his eyes and find the son she knew still resided within. But a stronger, more primal fear held her back, the fear of rejection, of witnessing the depth of the chasm that now separated them. The nights were the hardest. The silence of her empty home pressed in on Mama Oya, amplifying her loneliness. She would lie awake for hours, her mind replaying fragments of happier times. Kweku's infectious laughter as a child, his pride as he showed her his engineering drawings, the warmth of his embrace. These memories, once a source of comfort, now felt like shards of glass piercing her heart with their poignancy. As time marched on, Mama Oya's vibrant spirit, the one that had weathered storms and celebrated triumphs with equal fervor, began to dim. The spark in her eyes, the one that had always drawn people to her, flickered precariously, threatening to be extinguished by the overwhelming weight of her sadness. Her once robust health faltered, her body mirroring the anguish that consumed her soul. She found it harder to summon the energy to run her stall, her movements slow and labored. The market, once a source of purpose and connection, became a burden, a reminder of the joy that had seeped out of her life. Adama and Sori, their hearts heavy with worry, took turns tending to the stall, their presence a poor substitute for the warmth and laughter that had once filled the space. Mama Oya retreated further into herself, her world shrinking to the confines of her small home. She found solace in her memories, surrounding herself with photographs of happier times, images of her children as toddlers, their smiles infectious, their eyes sparkling with mischief, adorned the walls. A faded photograph of her late husband, his arm around a young Kweku, occupied a place of honor on her bedside table. These images, remnants of a past she clung to with increasing desperation, were all that stood between her and the abyss of despair. Despite the pain that gnawed at her, Mama Oya never uttered a word against Isata. She understood in the depths of her grieving heart that love could be a powerful, blinding force. She prayed for Kweku, for his happiness, even if it meant his happiness existed in a world that no longer included her. Her love for him, unwavering and unconditional, transcended the hurt, the anger, the overwhelming sense of betrayal. One particularly quiet evening, as the sky wept a soft rain, Mama Oya called Adama and Sori to her side. Her voice, once strong and steady, was a mere whisper, a fragile thread connecting her to the world. She spoke of her love for them, her pride in the people they had become. She urged them to remain close, to cherish the bond they shared as siblings, a bond that not even death could sever. Tears streamed down Adama's face as she listened to her mother's frail voice, each word a precious gem she would treasure forever. Sori, his usual stoicism crumbled, fought back sobs, his heart shattering into a million pieces. They knew, with a certainty that chilled them to the bone, that their mother was slipping away, her life's journey nearing its end. Mama Oya reached out a trembling hand, her fingers tracing the lines on their faces, committing their features to memory. She spoke of Kweku, her voice thick with unshed tears. She expressed her unwavering love for him, her hope that one day he would understand the depth of her sacrifice, the boundless nature of a mother's love. She made them promise to convey her message to him, to tell him that her heart had never truly closed its doors to him, that a mother's love transcended even the deepest wounds. As the night deepened and the rain continued its mournful symphony, Mama Oya closed her eyes, her breathing shallow and labored. Adama and Sori kept vigil by her bedside, their hands clasped tightly in hers, their hearts breaking with each passing moment. In the quiet stillness of the room, they could almost hear her whispers, faint echoes of a love that death itself couldn't extinguish, a love that would forever bind them together, even as their world crumbled around them. The rain had stopped. A heavy silence hung in the air, as if the world itself was holding its breath. Inside the small house, bathed in the soft light of dawn, Mama Oya lay still. Her face, etched with years of laughter and worry, was now serene, her weary journey finally over. Adama and Sorie, their faces stained with tears, clung to each other, the weight of their loss a physical ache in their chests. The news of Mama Oya's passing spread through Aberdeen like wildfire. Neighbours, their faces etched with sorrow, gathered outside the house, their hushed whispers a testament to the respect and love she had inspired. Mama Oya, the heart of their community, the woman who had nourished their bodies and souls with her cooking and her kindness, was gone. Adama, her voice choked with emotion, made the call to Kweku. The words, heavy with grief and unspoken accusations, hung in the air between them. A stunned silence followed, broken only by Kweku's sharp intake of breath. The wall of silence he had allowed Isata to erect around him crumbled, revealing the raw pain he had suppressed for so long. He had known deep down that this day would come, but the reality of it, the finality of it, hit him with the force of a physical blow. Sori, his usual composure shattered, made arrangements for the funeral. Mama Oya, a woman of simple tastes and unwavering faith, had left clear instructions. She wanted to be laid to rest in the town where she was born, where her life's journey had begun. The community, eager to honor a woman who had touched so many lives, rallied around her grieving children, their love and support a beacon in the overwhelming darkness. Kweku, his face pale and drawn, arrived in Aberdeen with Isata in tow. The journey, once so familiar, now felt alien, each mile a stark reminder of the time he had wasted, the opportunities he had squandered to reconnect with his mother. The guilt, a heavy weight he had carried for too long, threatened to consume him. He had spent years building a life with Isata in the city, chasing dreams that now felt hollow and meaningless. Isata's ambition, her relentless pursuit of success, had blinded him to the simple joys of family, the irreplaceable bond he shared with his mother. He had allowed her to chip away at his connection to his roots, convincing himself that their modern life, their sophisticated circle, was a fair exchange for the warmth and love he had left behind. The sight of his childhood home, the small house where laughter had once echoed through the rooms, brought a fresh wave of grief crashing over him. He remembered Mama Oya's infectious laugh, the aroma of her cooking filling the air, the way she always made him feel loved and cherished no matter what. The memories, once a source of comfort, now felt like accusations, each one a testament to his failings as a son. As Kweku stepped out of the car, his eyes met Adama's. The pain, the disappointment in her gaze cut through him like a knife. He saw the depth of his betrayal reflected in her eyes, the realization that he had chosen another's ambition over the unconditional love of his family. Shame washed over him, hot and suffocating, threatening to drown him in its depths. The funeral was a blur to Kweku. He moved through the motions, his body numb, his mind a storm of regret and sorrow. The scent of lilies, Mama Oya's favorite, filled the air, a painful reminder of the life that had been lost, the love that had been taken for granted. He watched as his siblings, their faces etched with grief, lowered their mother's coffin into the ground, the finality of it all hitting him with the force of a physical blow. As the earth covered the coffin, sealing Mama Oya away from the world, Kweku felt a part of himself being buried along with her. The guilt, the crushing weight of his actions threatened to suffocate him. He had failed her, the one person who had loved him unconditionally, the one person who had always believed in him, even when he had lost faith in himself. He stood there for a long time, his head bowed, tears streaming down his face, oblivious to the mourners who came to offer their condolences. Their words, though meant to comfort, washed over him, meaningless in the face of his overwhelming grief. He had built a wall between himself and his family, brick by brick, and now, standing at the precipice of his loss, he realized the true cost of his actions. Isata stood beside him, her hand resting tentatively on his arm. Her touch, once a source of comfort, now felt foreign, a stark reminder of the role she had played in his estrangement from his mother. He didn't pull away, couldn't bring himself to acknowledge her presence, his entire being consumed by the gaping hole in his heart. The mourners dispersed, their footsteps echoing in the silence that descended upon the graveyard. Kweku remained, rooted to the spot, his gaze fixed on the freshly dug grave. It was as if a part of him refused to leave her there, alone in the cold earth. He longed to turn back time, to undo the hurt he had caused, to tell her how much he loved her, how much he regretted his actions. But it was too late. The words, trapped in his throat for so long, now choked him with their futility. The days following the funeral were a blur of condolences and hushed conversations. Kweku, his grief still raw, found himself at the center of it all, the recipient of both sympathy and unspoken blame. He saw the disappointment in Adama's eyes, the pain he had caused her, and knew that forgiveness, if it came at all, would be a long and arduous journey. Isata, her usual confidence shaken, hovered on the periphery, her attempts to offer comfort met with icy silence. She had witnessed the depth of Kweku's grief, the realization dawning on her that the bond he shared with his mother ran deeper than any ambition, any desire for material success. She had misjudged, underestimated the power of family, and now, faced with the consequences of her actions, she felt a pang of remorse, a flicker of understanding of the values she had so carelessly dismissed. One evening, as the sun began its descent, casting long shadows across Mama Oya's small living room, Kweku broke the silence that had settled between him and his siblings. He spoke of his regret, his voice thick with unshed tears, his words tumbling over each other in a torrent of self-recrimination. He acknowledged the pain he had caused, the trust he had broken, and begged for their forgiveness, knowing that he didn't deserve it, but clinging to the hope that somehow they could find a way back to each other. Adama, her heart still heavy with grief, listened to her brother's confession, her own tears a testament to the shared pain that bound them together. She had loved him always, even when his actions had made it difficult, and in that moment, seeing him so broken, so utterly lost, she knew that forgiveness, though it would take time, was the only way to honor their mother's memory. Life in Aberdeen slowly began to find a new rhythm, the sharp edges of grief gradually softened by time and the enduring power of love. Kweku, his eyes open to the shallowness of his previous pursuits, dedicated himself to rebuilding the bridges he had so carelessly burned. He visited his siblings more often, his presence no longer a source of tension, but a comfort, a reminder of the bond they shared. He threw himself into his work, but this time his focus had shifted. He sought out projects that would benefit the community, using his skills to improve the lives of others. He remembered Mama Oya's unwavering generosity, her belief in the power of community, and strived to honor her memory in every action, every decision. Isata, humbled by the experience, made a conscious effort to understand and embrace the traditions she had once scorned. She learned to cook Mama Oya's recipes, her hands clumsily recreating dishes that had once seemed so simple, yet held within them the essence of Mama Oya's love and heritage. She treated her in-laws with newfound respect, her interactions with them genuine, her desire to connect heartfelt. Together, Kweku and Isata, their individual journeys of redemption intertwined, worked to create a legacy that would honor Mama Oya's memory. They established a community center in her name, a place where children could gather after school, where families could access resources and support, where the values of community and kinship, values Mama Oya had held dear, would be nurtured and celebrated. Mama Oya's physical presence may have been gone, but her spirit, her love, continued to resonate through the streets of Aberdeen, a testament to the enduring power of a mother's love, a love that transcended loss, a love that had the power to heal even the deepest wounds.